70% of businesses fail within the first 10 years. So today, my goal is to teach you how not to be one of them. So if you look up the reasons that most businesses fail, it's not that they fail from the outside in. It's that they fail from the inside out, which means they are actually their own worst enemy, that the business is not strong enough to accommodate the demand that is put on the business from the market. Basically, bad teams, bad leaders, bad accountability. Most leaders have no idea how to hold their team accountable, which leads to poor team performance. Oftentimes, we hire a bunch of people, they don't do a great job, right? We give them a job description, they're not doing anything, which is why so many people go out of business literally from not having this one skill, which is accountability. Stay to the end to get the accountability framework that deletes poor team performance forever and the 3-step action plan that you can implement today to increase the accountability and improve your overall team performance right now. I'm Desi Maynor, founder of Maynor Leadership. We help service-based entrepreneurs run and grow their small service-based business like a dynasty sports team. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I post a new video about running and growing your small service-based business like a dynasty sports team. Over the last 5 years, we've been able to work with over 100 small service-based businesses, over 35 different industries, installing systems of accountability that improve productivity, increase employee engagement, and grow that bottom line and make it bigger. We've impacted over 3,000 leaders and over 5,000 frontline team members using this one framework that you're about to learn. So let's dive in, and first let's define the word accountability. So it is the quality or state of being responsible to one's obligations. Accountability is essentially the glue between a commitment and a result. Holding someone accountable means reinforcing them for the actions and results that they produce and that we expect of them. And that's often where we fall short, is they don't even know what we expect of them because we haven't laid out and clarified really, really good, simple, measurable expectations. We need to help them figure out what is winning and what is losing. Your number one job as a leader, as the owner operator of your small service-based business, is to reinforce how your team is doing in relation to how they are expected to be doing. Essentially, we need to reinforce the behaviors that you want in your team. So it's just like sports. When I look at this, I think about sports, right? If I do a good job blocking, my coach says good job, right? Or we score a touchdown and my coach says good job. Or we score a touchdown, my coach says good job, my running back says good job. All of those are reinforcing that behavior for me doing a good job blocking. You need to invest your time and your money into this number one most valuable and appreciated asset in your business, which you guessed it, is the people. People actually get better and they appreciate in value. They become more valuable as you go. Almost everything else in your business actually depreciates in value. So you want to invest your time, invest your money into people that actually grow in value. All right, so let's talk business. What does low accountability look like in a small service-based business just like yours? Well, here's a few things, and let's talk business talk here. You can have low revenue per head count, right? So average revenue per head count, depending on the industry, falls somewhere between 200 and 400. If it's way below that, you probably have low accountability in your business because you're not getting enough out of your people. Along with these numbers, you have unclear metrics. Maybe they just literally have no metrics and you can't get people to log something on a spreadsheet, right? You probably have hidden expenses. So let's give you some examples of what low accountability looks like. First of all, low revenue per head count. Okay, revenue per head count. So average revenue per head count, meaning how much revenue do you have divided by how many people are on your team, is the simplest formula that I have learned and that I have used to help measure accountability. Now, a good average head count, depending on your industry, right? Absolutely look it up for your own industry, but is somewhere between 200 and 400, right? The higher revenue per head count you have, the more accountability you probably have in your business. Another example is unclear metrics or no metrics. Do the people in their departments know what their metrics are? Do you have an ownership dashboard? Another one is hidden expenses. Is there just money disappearing every month and we just don't even know where it goes? Or are people spending your money without the right accountability in place? Another one with sales, especially, is low conversion rates. Basically, taking prospects to customers. If we have low conversion rates, oftentimes that's low accountability in the sales department. And then you have high employee churn, basically people quitting. A great check and balance with this one of high employee churn is that the way that we treat our employees is often how they are going to treat our customers. So we keep our customers by retaining good employees, right? Here's some more behavioral signs of low accountability. Lots of complaining and finger pointing. You resent your team as the owner operator. You just feel like you are doing absolutely everything. You're the one scoring the touchdown, you're throwing the pass, you're catching the pass, you're chief everything officer, yet you have this team that's supposed to be doing all the things, but yet you're stressed to the max and you resent your team. Another great one to find out whether or not you have low accountability is unfinished projects, right? Is the follow through, is a side effect of low accountability. Now you have activities and then there's project completion. Do you have unfinished projects that are not getting across the finish line? All right, so let's turn the page. Let's talk about why is accountability missing in your small service-based business. So the number one most common reason is that people don't like giving feedback. They have a negative association, like you have to go to the principal's office, or in sports, the coach is going to yell at you, right? But that is a myth. That is a misconception, right? Clarity is kindness. Most employees' behaviors come from their past experiences. Either they've been rewarded for them or they have been effective at driving results. So when we set up really, really clear expectations and then we hold people accountable to them, their behaviors are going to change. We're conditioning them, right? We're conditioning their behavior. People will behave what you measure them on, right? So that's why your accountability is missing, is because basically you don't like being the bad guy because you have a negative association with accountability, right? Accountability is not a 4-letter word. Accountability is commitment and results, which is what we're looking for to achieve our mission, to achieve our why, to achieve our greater cause. Drop a thumbs up or a fist bump in the comments if you believe accountability is the key to team success and to delete poor team performance and skyrocket your team performance, and put a little flex in the comments if you're committed to improving accountability in your business. All right, so let's break this down in the how-to. How do we install an accountability system? Well, it all starts with developing clear expectations. Now, 2 types of expectations. You have kind of bigger, high-level global expectations like missions and values, and then you have kind of local expectations like a primary outcome area worksheet, a job description, right? Checklists, instructions, those types of things are the local. So let's talk about your mission and your values, right? Things that your mission needs to include is a simple and why statement, right? It needs to be your vision of a better world, your fight against injustice. Your employees need to attach to it, right? There needs to be something where they feel a sense of purpose to the thing that you're trying to accomplish or how you're trying to essentially make the world better. More importantly, values. So at least 3, no more than 5 core values, which is the way that you operate business, which is kind of things that you hang your hat on. A very simple one is like competitive greatness, or speed is king, or the customer is always right, or we delight the customer. Like, these are things of how we operate. We can teach on them, we can train on them, and this is like how we do business. Another one, situational awareness, is always have situational awareness when we're operating in our everyday operations. Those are global expectations, right? So you need to have a really clear mission statement of like, this is what we're headed for, and this is why we're headed for it. And you need to have really clear values, core values, and critical actions of how you operate on the daily. That's your global. And then you need to have local, which is a primary outcome area worksheet. Each and every role within your company needs to have a 1, 2, 3 priority list of results, outcomes that they need to get. And then what does winning look like under each of them? And then under what does winning look like, what will it take to win? And this is like as close to a one pager as you can get it. It's simple, it's clear, it's to the point, it's functional, right? And it's not put in a folder and filed somewhere. It's out on the desk. Daily, it's talked about in your weekly one-on-one meetings, which brings me to step number 2, which is meetings. There are 3 types of meetings that you need to have. There is a big group meeting, like a staff meeting, right, which needs to happen probably at least once a month, but it changes depending on your industry, depending on the size of your team, depending on the schedule. There is no one size fits all. It is a framework for what fits your business. The key with meetings is consistency and regularity beats intensity. So we need to have them on a regular basis, consistently, the same days, the same times, the same months, all of those types of things within our meetings. So large group, which is all staff, I suggest at least once a month. This is like your high level stuff. This is the talking about the mission, talking about the values, probably founder, owner, operator led. The second type of meeting you have is a small group meeting. So this is like a department meeting or a leadership meeting. Anything like that really fits when it comes to the small group meetings. These probably more often, probably like every other week. All right. And these are the things where you really start to dig in the weeds a little bit and make sure that you're holding the teams accountable. Make sure that you're holding the leaders accountable. And then you have your one-on-ones. Every person in the department, in your company, needs to be having one-on-one meetings with their leader. Okay. Now, the regularity depends on the situation and depends on the size of your team, depends on your capacity, but they need to be regular. Oftentimes, I say at least every other week, at the very worst, at least once a month. But one-on-one meetings, pulling out that POA worksheet, talking through the accountability. I like to use the traffic light, red, yellow, green. Emergency light if it's really bad. Red means we're totally missing the mark. Yellow, we're getting there, but there's a plan in place to get the green. And then green, we're like 80, 85% or better, and we can teach it to someone else. But we're holding them accountable to the expectations that we've set globally and locally. So you're like, what do we talk about in the meetings? You talk about the expectations and how they're doing with the expectations. So the mission, the values, and your POA, those are what your meetings are about because you've put your entire business and you've pointed the whole direction with those mission, those values, and those role clarity sheets of the POA worksheets. One of the main goals for you, one of the things that you need to do is you need to give feedback. You need to give it using the KISS model. Keep it simple and stupid, right? Give them one thing to improve on at a time. If you give, hey, you're doing a 6 out of 10 here, a 4 out of 10 here, a 3 out of 10 here, and a 5 out of 10 here. So make sure to improve all those things. No. Give them one thing to improve on at a time. Hey, Bob. Hey, Susie. You're at a yellow here and you have a couple other greens. Let's make sure our goal for the next 2 weeks is for you to improve customer satisfaction as 5-star Google reviews. That is your goal for the next 2 weeks. That's the one thing that we're going to focus on in these next 2 weeks. Everything else, I want you to keep on maintenance mode. When we give feedback, we're providing somebody with information that will change their behavior. That is the goal of giving feedback to someone, is that they change their behavior. So what that means is that if they don't change their behavior, you didn't give good enough feedback. One of the best ways to do this that I have found, and we did this in sports and in college football when I played at the Division I level, was self-assessment. So oftentimes we would grade ourselves. I'm an offensive lineman, so I would give myself a grade on every single play, like up to like 120 offensive plays, and then the coach would do so, and then we would collaborate and discuss the compare and contrast, the difference between the two, and that's where most of the learning took place. So I had to hold myself accountable, and I also had to measure myself. So a really good way to do this, and I learned this through college football, is essentially share the facts and state the truth. Keep your opinion out of it. And that's easy to do because in football, you always have film. Well, in business, you always have numbers and you always have documentation of everything, basically, or you should have. So if you don't, start working on that, right? And what you do is you state the facts. So you say, Bob, this is what happened, because that's 100% the fact, and this is the truth. And then you say, how do you feel about that? All right. You ask them what they think about that. Bob, you were late to the meeting. What do you think about that? And then you say, what are some ways that you could fix it? So it's a Socratic approach. You're coaching them through this. State the facts, state the truth, ask them what they think about it, ask them how they could fix it, and then follow through with one of those things. So they make a commitment to one of those things that they could fix. And your job now is to follow through and make sure that they actually do that. This needs to be the specific thing of what they're doing wrong and how they're going to fix it. And then what are they going to do differently? Then create a step-by-step plan. So I always like to do first, then next, like 1, 2, 3, keep it nice and simple using that KISS method model, right? There's 2 different types of accountability. There's tactical, which is reinforcing somebody for the behaviors that have more to do with the job, like the specifics, right? So these are like small, infrequent issues. They have quick turnaround. There's no like deep-rooted, ingrained behavior. They're simple, small solutions. Here's an example of this would be, did you follow up with the SOP that we had written? Did you hit the deadline? Did you turn your reports in on time? Another example would be encourage and rewarding someone for turning their reports in on time. That's like tactical accountability right there. And then there's strategic accountability, which honestly, strategic is the bigger, deeper rooted, more important one. If you ask me, it's what changed everything for me and the way I do this in small service-based businesses, and what I learned that works the best in sports with winning people and winning teams. Essentially, we're trying to create winning people. Strategic accountability is reinforcing soft skills, which I hate calling them soft skills, but that's what everyone knows them as, that are the underlying skills needed to execute the hard skills, right? So it's like, in order to be a Division I college football player, you have to have grit, which is the combination of passion and perseverance. If you don't have passion for football and you have perseverance to stick something through, you don't have grit, you're not going to last. You will be one of the people that quits before their time is up, essentially. So what does strategic accountability look like? Well, these are larger, more frequent issues. It's a long kind of tail for change. It's highly reinforced behavior, and a ton of them are like training solutions. So let me give you some examples here. So it's like, this is when you positively reinforce your team, or when one of your managers positively reinforces their team. It's when they're transparent and when they're honest, when they see and express a problem they see and they do so in an appropriate way, when they're kind to another employee, when they don't complain, or when they vent up instead of sideways or down. Also, when they take on more work than they're really responsible for. Another example of this going wrong would be yelling at an employee instead of texting the boss to go over scripting of how to address an employee. That would be doing strategic accountability correctly. All right, so you've waited to the very end, and now I'm going to give you the accountability formula that changed everything for me in sports and in service-based business. And it goes just like this: expectations plus measurement times reinforcement equals accountability. Let me say that one more time. Expectations plus measurement times reinforcement equals accountability. So let's break this down. Let's talk about expectations. So expectations are the instructions that you give somebody, right? We talk about the global ones and the local ones. These are your POA worksheets, your job description, your role clarity. These are your core values and your critical actions. This is your brand promise. These are departmental type things. And these are also like SOPs, checklists, standard operating procedures, the specific playbooks, right? Along with the overall game plans of your growth game plan and your fulfillment game plan. These are the expectations. This is your company mission, right? These are all examples of expectations. Think global, big ones like company wide, mission, core values, critical actions, and then think local ones like role clarity, like SOPs, like checklists. So we have really, really clear expectations. Both parties are clear on them. Both parties agree to them. There's no questions involved there at all. Then you have measurement. So expectations plus measurement. Okay. Now what's measurement? How do we know that they are doing or not doing what we expect of them? Essentially, are they following the instructions that we've given them, whether that be global or local? What's measurement? Well, you got timelines, you got deadlines, you got scorecards, you have leaderboards, you have KPIs, right, which are basically numbers that we measure them on. You have surveys, you have utilization metrics, you have all of these different things that you put in place in order to measure whether they're doing good or not doing good. Okay, my favorite one is the traffic light because it's simple. You got red, yellow, green, emergency. And for each and every part of their POA, you can have right on there, red, yellow, green, emergency light. And if it's yellow or red or emergency, you have a plan put in place of why it's that way and how you're going to make it better in a step-by-step plan, just like we talked about above. You have to have a way to measure them. They need to know what winning looks like. Employees want to know, team members want to know, everyone wants to know if they're doing a good job or not. The last piece is reinforcement. So you have expectations plus measurement times reinforcement. Now, you multiply reinforcement because you can do it a ton of times. So what is reinforcement? It's what you do after you receive the measurement, essentially. So once you know the expectation, they know the expectation. Now we've had them measure, we've measured self-assessments, all different kinds of measurement type of things, right, that we've put in place that we talked about before. So rewind the video if you need those. So it's what you do after the measurement is talked about. So positive reinforcement, much, much stronger, okay, than negative punishment. So think carrot, not stick, right? You have to have a stick, speak softly, but carry a big stick, right? So more carrot, less stick. So let's talk about high reinforcement, high accountability. So positive reinforcement, okay, is going to be having a ton of meetings, right? And having the right meetings with the right people at the right times with the right consistency, only as long as they need to be. It doesn't need to be death by meeting, okay? But there needs to be consistent. We talked about the meetings above, right? We got large group, we got small group, we got one-on-one. And you need to have agendas. They need to be set days, set times with the right people. Okay, one-on-ones, incredibly important. One of the number one things that people want is a good relationship with their boss. That is because they're looking for reinforcement, right? Then you have end of week, end of month reports. Another great idea for high accountability. These can be as simple or complex as you want. I always err on the side of simple using the KISS model. End of week reports. Hey, what's going good? What's going bad? What's in your way? How can I help? And how do we make next week even better? Great end of week report right there. Another way to reinforce is team surveys. You're asking for their input and their insight so that you can reinforce that. You're also doing a ton of feedback exercises. I always suggest once a month. And then you're recognizing and rewarding them as other forms of reinforcement. This can happen on the daily. This can happen so often. Like anytime you have an opportunity to positively reinforce someone for doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? It's always a great opportunity to increase accountability because you set the expectation. Their measurement went well, reinforce that, right? And that's even on their measurement of their behavior, their core values, right? They were heavy in and bought into the mission, reinforce that, right? And there's lots of, I always like, there's a culture champion of the week. There's the leaderboards, great ways for recognition, all different ways. You can be as creative as you want by recognizing your people for doing a great job and buying in to all of the expectations and living up to the measurements that we have set and agreed upon. So here is 3 steps to better accountability. Step number 1 is set the expectation on a global, meaning mission, core values, critical actions, and a local, meaning primary outcome areas, role clarity, SOPs, and checklists. That's step 1. Set clear expectations, get them agreed upon, answer any and all questions, do all the training involved so there is absolutely zero gray area. It is crystal clear as mud. Almost got you there. Crystal clear as crystal. And there is no mix up there. So set clear expectations, step 1. Step 2 is develop a self-assessment tool. This can be as easy as a Google form. Essentially, you're just traffic lighting. What I like to do is mission, core values, and critical actions, and then all of the areas on their primary outcome area worksheet. I literally just have them traffic light it and give me 1 or 2 sentences why. That's my self-assessment tool. And then we inquire about that. Step 3, inquire and reinforce. Right? So you're having a meeting, you're inquiring, and then you're reinforcing all the things that they're doing well, and then guiding them on the things that they could do better. So simple example of this is we set the expectation of core values, right? We created a self-assessment tool, right? So Bob knows that the core values are speed is king and sincere candor, right? He knows those are 2 of our core values. We created an assessment tool. He is yellow on speed is green, and speed is king, and green on sincere candor. We have a meeting, right? Bob, awesome job on the green band. Really love X, Y, and Z on Tuesday at 4 p.m. and give them a specific time and a specific action they took or behavior they made that will reinforce that. And then, hey, yellow man, hey, I get it. We're working on it. It's tough. This is the training that we have in place, right? First, we're going to do this. Next, we're going to do this. And then we're going to do that. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Do you agree? What do you think is missing? How can I support you better? I'm reinforcing. Hey, I'm here by your side. We'll be back next week to talk about it even further. Then I have walked through that entire thing of accountability. I've set the expectation. Okay. I've measured them. They've measured themselves with an assessment tool. And then we have reinforced by having a meeting and talking through that entire thing. That increases the accountability. This is not a complex thing. You can do this right away. Okay. And you're more than capable of handling this. This is how you delete poor team performance. You will skyrocket your team performance by doing so. And maybe you just watch this and you're thinking, wow, there's a lot to this accountability stuff. I'd like to talk to somebody, maybe even me, hint, hint, about how to input and install accountability systems into my service-based business, right? Go ahead, book a call with us. We'd love to talk to you and help you through a strategy session all about accountability systems and how to put that in and how to help you run and grow your small service-based business like a Dynasty Sports Team. Go ahead and click that link right there. Book in a call. We'll be happy to talk to you. Free strategy session right there. Hey, and last thing, before you go and check out these videos right here, they're somewhere around on the screen. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe, hit that button, hit the bell so you get notified, and put your feed in the comments. Give me the flex or the thumb up if you're all about accountability, and ask your questions in there as well. And we'll answer everything you got to do with accountability and helping you run and grow your small business like a Dynasty Sports Team. Stay powerful.